there's so much value in it when we come together as a group that we had some time in between from the last one, and it
Mhm.
just felt like I wanted to bring that back into 25, but didn't have a book for myself. And then here's Becky just raising her hand, being like, I got one.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Well, so that's the thing, right? In our time, you were like, I want to do another book study, but nothing's really calling to me. And you asked me the question, like, has anyone brought another book to the table that they're really thinking? And no one concretely had done that. And I was thinking, like, okay, anyone that didn't want to already lead one themselves. And I was like, well, I could lead one for myself, and I'm willing to do that. But you're wanting to lead one. I'm like, I don't know. Um, and then you had mentioned, here's the real thing. Brenda, you had mentioned um the fact that like Think and Grow Rich is one of those books that, we continuously did because it is a book that you implement. It isn't just a reading that happens. It is about implementing the things that we're learning, which I believe any of the personal development books that's what it's for. But how often are we doing that? Like how much space are we giving ourselves when we're committing or thinking about doing these books and wanting to like implement that in our life and our being and who we are, but are we giving ourselves the space to actually do that and the support to celebrate the little practice and progress that needs to happen, because it doesn't just happen because you downloaded the book in your brain and now you got it. It's not like that. um so
Yeah.
you were
And
talking about that.
I also think like we have done multiple books, not and it's not like your typical um book club
Yeah.
um where you just to have a discussion after you read the whole book. We're trying to walk through the book in smaller increments
Hmm.
and really grasp some of the things and then actually do the work alongside it. And I really feel in the past that has done so much because you can go back to your notes whenever you're struggling with something.
Yeah. So, right, you asking that question and me hearing you, listening to you saying, doing the book study, like how you like to do them over and over. And I'm like, yeah, it is good because I'm someone personally that likes to go deep on topics versus just surface level and feel like, oh, in some areas of my life, I like to check the box. And
Mhm.
personal development. I'm a personal growth junkie. Well, when you were telling me about this and talking about the books, what was inside of me was, well, I just don't feel like I'm worthy enough to do that. Disciplined, right? Like being disciplined to implement these things to feel successful, like fill that, whatever, is about worthiness. And that just came to me. And this book by Jamie Kern Lima, Worthy, has been sitting on my shelf since the beginning of summer of 24. And I pulled it out. I did take it on vacation with me. I found that out because there was a bookmark in it originally from being on vacation. And I read the first 2 pages, and that bookmark was in there. And I had some things underlined already, but that was it. Well, so I'd already started it, put it down. It wasn't the right time. And the short story about the God wink was that I brought this to your attention, Brenda, and then you were like, "Well, tell me about it. Like, what is it?" And I was like, "I just feel like if I felt worthy, the books that would come after it would, be that much more impactful because I'd feel ready to do the work that's really necessary in order to be more of the person that I know I'm here to be." And feel like I'm, enough to do it. And that was like the catalyst of saying, well, look at this book, Brenda. Have you ever heard of it? Would you be interested in like leading something like this and being a part of this? Um, and then like the fast action part of it is that I've been working on my own personal values, core values, and I have these cards with my core values in front of me, and one is fulfillment and one is growth. And um when we were talking and you were kind of asking me about the book, I just opened it up, and the page that I opened to, let me see if I can maneuver on the screen, is True Fulfillment Equation. Now, okay, fulfillment, that's interesting, but the equation itself is self-confidence plus growth plus contribution times self-worth equals fulfillment level. Like, okay, I think that that is a huge slap in my face and a knock on the head to say, yeah, if there was a time like this is it to talk about needing to do this book. So that's the short answer of how this book got into our existence of like, Brenda, let's do a book study on this and let's help people like tap into transformation in our life and the belief that we're enough and that we can build the discipline to continue to grow in that trust of ourselves.
Yes, and that we are meant for more and we are truly valued in the position of the purpose that we've been put on this journey to accomplish. I really feel that we have vision and aspirations and all these dreams when we're younger, and then, you know, as you get older, things kind of dissipate because some reality or some negative things come into space, and they really can carry a negative response of how valued we feel we are or how worthy we are in relationships or business within our jobs. And I think it can really just give a different perspective of someone else going through some journeys that it might be relatable and it might not. You might be shocked, like, oh my goodness, I would never, do something like that, but I've done this that might be comparable or just in a different way of having not the best life right away. And I think for anybody to overcome any obstacles in their life, to become that better person, to know that every single person is more valuable and has something to bring to the table. But also that if you're in business, you are worth the money that you're asking, you're worth
Yeah.
the promotion at the job, and you have earned it because you are bringing something to the space.
Yeah. And act like it. That's what this book is all about. It's having that belief and that knowing and then acting like it. Having the posture is what I think of. Having the posture of I'm favored and I'm worthy of this. I will do what I said I was going to do. I will deliver on these things and I'm already worthy of, whatever that is. It really is a posture. And that's why I love this. That's why I'm really drawn to the book study of a book like this, because I know I'll get in my head, about a core wound that this is for me is like, okay, so like how worthy are you? And like all of those questions. And that brings me to another point. Like there's a workbook that we're implementing with this too, that Jamie has. When you buy the audio, I know you can go and get it right on the website and download it, or you can find one to purchase. But that's going to be really important to the work. For me, especially, I know for myself, having a workbook and like doing something with what I'm learning is it brings it down into me to like actually take root, and have that opportunity for it to expand, versus just looking at a page and reading it, or Audible just listening to it. I love the dynamic of both, and then the work, like it's really going to sink in and take root. And that's where I know the transformation happens in my life, is when I'm really giving it the attention. And this is, I mean, worthiness is something that goes with us everywhere. It isn't just in business. It isn't just in a relationship. It isn't just in our own, in our own self-care or self-love. We take ourselves everywhere. So if inside we feel totally unworthy, or, all of those things, it's like that does get expressed in some way on the outside of everywhere we're going. So like this is
Mhm.
about transformation and holding space for us to bring those feelings, and also do the work in order to support ourselves and understanding that we're worthy of becoming more, and taking the steps and sharing our stories. And it takes courage to do all of those things. And this is an opportunity to be able to do that in a safe container where we're all working in this and getting the support, um, to really help uncover and replace those narratives, about our self-worth, that is going to impact and ripple through your whole, like, whatever comes next.
Right, right. And then, the partners and the people that we surround ourselves with, they're more impactful in our life than what we may give credit to.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, we aren't maybe expressing um, how much that's really needed, and how even valuable that is. But when we have a group or a study or even an action hour, and you can take away something that you would not have had unless one of the ladies shared an experience. It might have been relatable because you might have had the same thing, or 2 weeks from now, you might be going through that. And then knowing what just happened or how she got through it was something that you're able to carry in and continue and make it easier for yourself. I also feel like when we come together um, with more than one person, there's an amazing collaboration,
Hmm.
but there's also the presence of God, and He knows exactly what we need at the time,
Yeah.
and He makes sure the right people are in place to walk in that journey with us. So,
Hmm.
it might not be a good fit right now for some, but it might be a good fit for others um, right now. And I'm so glad that, you picked up that book again and shared it, because that's another example of being vulnerable at a spot and being like, you know what, I need to look at this. And it might not be the easiest thing to confront, but now that the Godwinks have come, and after we were talking about it, it's kind of solidifying that space, and it's okay because he'll be right along with us in the whole spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep thinking about how, life is too short to be consumed with self-doubt and holding ourselves back from the mission, the vision that we're here to bring to fruition. I feel like I'm rhyming. Um, that, it self-doubt can hold us back from completing a project, or even just stepping out of our comfort zone to go to meet new people and get around
Mhm.
new energy. And you know, this is about believing in ourselves more. It's about loving ourselves more. And she talks about being unstoppable and how when we do walk with that posture, when we come in intentionally, when we have that, energy about us, like people pick up on it. People are attracted to it. People notice it because it's like like I recognized from hearing you, Brenda, talking about, the book size. I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking through all these things like another book. Like I crave that. But then I was asking myself, well, why? Why am I not, living my successful life knowing that I'm already implementing mentally, not actually doing all the things, you know? And how can I do that? And it was like, well, I just instantly could tap in to know like it was a self-worth issue for me. And so if this is something that you're like, okay, yeah, I feel that. I want more belief, love for myself, confidence. I want to feel, more certainty about what I'm doing in my business or my life, my relationship, all of those things as a whole. Then check out the worthy audio even. We discovered that there's the preview on Audible. Go type in on Audible, type in worthy and listen to the preview even. Start there. Now,
Mhm.
if you have a credit sitting in your Audible, the challenge is for you to go and buy this book. If this is already like perked in your ears at any point, right? You're still listening to this, then there's a peak of interest and how this could really support you. And if you have a credit sitting in your Audible, go and grab the audiobook. And it's like, what did we say? Like maybe 9 hours of an audiobook, Brenda,
Yeah.
which we binge listened to it already. So the challenge is if you're listening to this, like, oh, maybe, okay, go get that credit and binge listen to it, over the next week, 9 hours. Put it in your earbud, put it, in the background even, and just subconsciously just take it in and pick up on what is meant for you along the way. Like we are firm believers in that. Like it'll be on purpose that you hear the things you will come if this is meant for you. So that's a challenge for you. Just listen to the audiobook, especially if you have a credit just sitting there to be used. This is a good one that can support you, hopefully. Even if the book study is not your jam, to like want to come in and share and have that commitment level to make yourself a priority every week. So let's talk about that. Like what am I saying? It's
Mhm.
a 14-week commitment to make your worthiness a priority. And that means that we are coming together once a week to have this intentional time to dive into what was coming up, the insights for the workbook and the part that we're reading in the book over those 14 weeks. It's really this unveiling and uncovering again of like those false narratives that come up as we read part of this book to like see about our own self-worth, like what is that story bringing up for you, and then really embracing the simple steps that she gives in the book to build your confidence and to take some bold steps towards the bigger dreams that you have in your life and how this ties into the way that you're feeling inside. So it's 14 weeks and every week. Brenda, you want to share anything around that?
Well, definitely that it's might be feeling a little overwhelming with, oh my goodness, that leads us to the end of May. But I always find when I have an obstacle like that coming in, there's a reason why I actually need to do it.
Mm,
And there's a reason why Satan doesn't want me to be doing that because he knows after I'm done with something like this that I am not going to be the same person as I was yesterday.
hmm
And it's going to be to his detriment, but to my benefit. And um, he can already see many things that would be changing.
hmm
So take that out and if your life would be completely impacted by the end of May, with many changes adjusted and business things changed, maybe different clients or different business structure, finances might be different, um, overall feeling for yourself would
Mhm.
be different, but then also that's going to impact your family, your kids, your nieces and nephews, grandchildren, anybody else, friends, neighbors that you're going to encounter with. And they're going to see that too. So 14 weeks is nothing to compare to the rest of your life and the impact that you're going to have on other people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think about how much has it already costed me to
Mm.
live in that self-doubt? Like, what are the things that I've stopped myself from doing because, I've been hearing the too much chatter in my brain. You're too this much. You're too much this, and you're not enough of this. And, how much does that cost you already in your life? That's what I'm thinking. Like, what would be different? What will be different when I am standing in the posture and the knowing of my own self-worth, moving forward every single time I remind myself of how powerful that is. And I mean, so what this is the book study is a weekly virtual. This is a virtual session, right? And it's every Monday, 11 a.m. Central. And right, you're talking about that power, Brenda, that happens when we have two or more people in the room, right? And it's like that energy, because it's one thing that, yeah, you can go and read this by yourself, of course. You can go and take what you want from it all alone. And the power is in the group discussion. The power is, really focused on building on the insights and the challenges that we've each come against and the thought processes that are occurring. Because when one person shares, another person is connecting something else in their own experience. And, that's where the magic happens because you realize you're not alone in these thoughts, right? People view me as bold, confident, like all put together. And I'm just like, I would view myself with very different words, very different words, initially, right? And I've taken that on and I harness that power of like how knowing that people see me because I am those things as well. Um, and we can get in our own heads. So this is really that support container of like implementing what we're learning and moving it from just this idea and concept from a book into action and being able to posture and act accordingly to what we know to be true about the person that we are and the way that we're showing up and giving to the people in our communities, in our businesses, whatever that looks like, that we're making a ripple effect in people's lives, whether we are intentionally doing it or not. So we're here to support you in making that positive, intentional impact by starting with yourself, by having this opportunity to really have some life-changing results by getting the support and the safe space and the encouragement. So um, it is a pay to participate opportunity to one, stand in exactly what we're saying, knowing that we are worthy of receiving and holding that space, as well as bringing other people together, bringing you in here to say, this is a commitment. And I know that when I invested in some degree on something, I am definitely more committed. I understand the energy that's being exchanged, higher levels of that. And just making myself more of a priority when I'm invested in different levels has been one of the things that I've found supportive. So this is an opportunity to um, up level the way that you are thinking about your personal development.
Yes, and I feel like Also, when I invest into myself, there's more to it because the benefit that I will reap later on is many times 10 times or 20 times of what my initial investment to myself, whether it's
Yeah.
self-care, going and getting that massage or the facial, or if it's going um for a weekend away in silence so I can reboot. There's cost in all of those pieces, but when I actually put money into myself like that, it's so valuable. And I feel like it's valuable to me. But now when I come into a group setting, it's not only valuable to me, but I'm also able to give value to someone else. And I think that a lot of times stems where a lot of women, we just want to be seen, heard, and then also given that opportunity to give somebody else some value or some insight. And if one little piece is able to help them, whether it's my story of XYZ going on, then that might impact them and it might resonate with the next person just one little bit. But it's an investment that I could never get in any other opportunity. I'm not going to get that if I just buy the book and read it. It's not going to be the same. I know I've done that in the past for other books. It's definitely not the same. It's also so much easier to work through some problems that might have happened in the past when you can share it in the safe space. And it's not therapy, right? It's not um, psychological, it's not mental health, but we spend money on all of those things sometimes. And it's not that at all. It's walking through and really learning some of the processes that others have done that we just need to take the time to walk through it ourselves and with a supportive group. So whether it's 6 of us, 10 of us, or just 3 of us,
Mm-hmm.
it's still going to be an impactful area to come together and fellowship together in whatever is supposed to align at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And Brenda, that brings me to want to highlight. So you'll see the link below to be able to learn more about the information, what's all included, what the pricing is, all of that. I'm not even going to state it because it may change by the time that you listen to this. So, right, go and pay attention to that if this is still something that you're like, okay, I want to know more about how to join. But just to reiterate on what Brenda's saying, that the importance of having a community of people, a group, right? This gathering of people that are also in the same journey
Mhm.
on a different path, right? If we're all in this space focused on our own self-worth and like how we can show up more confidently and boldly as who we are, there's a um an energy level that's there in the community of that is unmatchable. I don't know the word, but it's right. It's kind of indescribable in that support. And if you are not yet in the Living OP membership, if you aren't a part of the Work on Purpose with Purpose community yet, you will see that there's a whole section that describes that when you do this book study with us, you get access to a whole membership of support, action hours that are there to support you in doing the work, practicing these things. It could be going for a walk. It could be, making that call that you're feeling really small about and that you're pushing forward to move into the practices that we're going to learn in the book, right? There's hours and support in that. There's other opportunities to be tracking your progress with our planner in the community and access to what we call level up hours, which is other opportunities for growth, but it's all to nourish you in this up leveling in your life. And it's all included. You don't have to go to any of that, but it's a bonus to being able to understand like there's a huge support system here for you along the way of implementing things that can feel very challenging. Like Brenda said, resistance is going to come when we make
Mhm.
big changes in our life. So, how are you going to support yourself when resistance comes around your worthiness and being able to remember the positive side of what comes with change, which is that it's growth. It feels challenging for a reason because you're going against what feels easy and cozy and nice and comfortable. And that's the challenge that a community gives support in, and that transparency that happens. So if you are part of the Living OP membership already and in the community, you will see that this book study is also still a pay to participate for that commitment, for that embracing of your worth and the level of making yourself a priority, and also to feed into the group for you to share and come and be heard and to know that this is your spot to do that. So you'll see those options, and then there's some bonuses you'll see in there as well. So you can reach out with any questions around what's involved, what it looks like, the timing. If you see like there's a week that you're like, oh, I can't attend on that one, there is recordings that will be there for the participants of this study. So it's a private grouping of those recordings. So only those of you that are in this group together to have that safe container we've been talking about, there will be recordings. So if you miss one, it's okay. There will be a recording and we'll have a thread to be able to share more insights, in the moments and all of those things with the group as well. We're here to support you in this 14-week commitment of up leveling your self-worth. Brenda, is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I just love the opportunity when we give it, um, and just encourage anybody that's even thinking about it to do that challenge of binge listening to the audio.
Yeah.
And um, if it's a good fit and you want to dig deeper, then join us in February, and um, we'll see you then.
Yeah. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you for tuning into the Choose on Purpose podcast. This is the Wisdom of Women series where we're excited for you to bring your wisdom to the table. Join us for the Worthy Book Study. Go and check out the information. We are holding space to see you soon. Remember to love yourself, live fearlessly, and do all things with purpose. We'll see you next week.